Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, Sergeant. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Heath. Welcome to my home. Welcome to the office, and welcome to the morning grind. It's great to see everybody this morning. We are going to be taking a look at the HeroQuest, advanced HeroQuest rules right here, which I was not able to find online. I was looking this morning briefly and wasn't able to find because I thought that'd be easier to bring up. But I've got the physical copies. So we're going to be taking a look at this morning. And I thought it was really interesting that last time it was noted in the comments that actually the Warhammer Fantasy role-playing, the Warhammer came first, and then this was made after that. So that I said this is a pretty crunchy game. This is a pretty crunchy game here, and it actually does kind of make sense then that maybe they used the HeroQuest sort of brand and made Advanced HeroQuest as kind of like a role-playing game in a box, rather than just as a direct expansion from the original HeroQuest. Let's see, who have we got here? So we're gonna be taking a deep dive into the rules here in just a moment. Well, let's see. We got PH here. Good morning. Good morning. Zero the Blade here. Good morning. Robert's here. Good morning. Out cutting the grass early this morning. I need to do that again. What's going on in the world of AI video game making? Use JavaScript to implement class and racial modifiers for attack, damage, and armor and magic. How many spells are available, and also differential XP tables like class per class, like first year. This sounds like it's going very well. Good morning, James. Good morning, Sable. Tomocrat says mental fish powers activate. Yes, good day. Good day. Hey, Mike. Good morning, Mike. Mike was just was talking to me about having some of the old Warhammer Quest figures. Matthew says, I always thought in the pre-roll you said, I'm heathen, and I won't be worshiping anything today. Oh, no. I'm Heath. All right, let's see. We need to breathe and sip this morning. I'll show you what I was working on. I was working on some music videos. Did anybody see the music video? I know a few of you did. Watch the music video that was out on the Cultist channel now. Let's do a breathe and sip this morning. Everybody got their favorite beverage this morning? I do. Let's breathe and sip 2 deep breaths in through the nose and then out through the mouth. Deep breaths, complete inhales, complete exhales, deep inhales, complete exhales, and then take a sip. All right, let's sip. All right, 2 deep breaths. Here we go. Let's breathe. And sip. Hey, why don't I show it over here? I'll show it over here, the music video. Let's see. So I was playing around with the AI music generation. First of all, okay, let me bring up over here. So on the Cultist channel, there we go.
I'm a cultist for the esoteric.
Right here on the call, I'll put the link over here. So I know, yeah, Mike saw it. Mike was on the first one. Hey, Michael Connor. That's what we're trying to be doing, Sable. Yes. So this is on the Cultist YouTube channel right over here. And so there's a new, so there are 2 things that went up a little while ago. So, well, actually 3 things, I guess. So there's the music video that I created from Leon Sky's song. So Leon Sky, the guy who plays Dave, wrote the theme song for the Cultist that you hear at the end of every episode. And so I had wanted for a while to make some kind of music video out of it. We tried to shoot some footage for a music video when we did season 2, but it didn't work out like we wanted it to. So there was no footage. So, but I went, hey, you know what? I want to just cut some imagery to the Cultists to it. And so I did that. So the Cultist music video is over there. Then I did a re-edit of Rob's facial branding. So I just edited out the ceremony where Rob gets his face branded. And I think that looks hilarious because that looks like something that somebody on YouTube would do. Like, look, I branded my face for Cthulhu. Watch me ritually brand my face. Yeah, that sounds like something that somebody on YouTube would do. So I did a re-edit. So I just have, if you want to watch Rob's ritual face branding, that is right there. And then over here, so I was playing around with that Suno AI as just the other day. And I wrote up, it will let you write song lyrics and then will let you create, then you give the song lyrics to it and then it creates the music for you and sings it for you. And so then I went through and I put a music video to it. So this is called The Cultist Down the Street. Oh, Brent says, good morning all. Love the Cultist RPG short vids. So yes, I've been trying to put more of those out, and actually, I did put out an actual a clip of the music video. But here, let me bring this up. It was fun to make. Let me take this down. So here's the Cultist down the street.
In the park they gather, donuts and coffee in their hands, chanting around the bird bath as sacrifice demands. Branding faces in the night, rituals and dancing, summon gods with all their might on drums of human skin. Oh, they try so hard to summon Tulu from the deep, gather around with snack chips heaped, laughing loud, they never cry. They're the cultists down the street, sacrificing Care Bears and Little Sister too, summoning the mayhem in rituals askew. Oh, they try so hard to summon Tulu from the deep, gather around with snack chips heaped, laughing loud, they never cry. They're the cultists down the street. Moon is high, light the fire, naked orgies in the night, bellowing as they ride round the circle, never tired.
So I'll let you watch the rest of it on the YouTube, on the Cultist YouTube channel. But I thought it was fun. I thought it was a fun thing to do. It took. I think that this Udio. I want to take a look at Udio later. In fact, I may try that this afternoon. I'm going to go over to my brother's house. We might play HeroQuest this afternoon, and I'm going to take my computer so we can play Vagxanadu. My brother, I played Vagxanadu quite a bit, but he doesn't have a way to play Vagxanadu. So I told him I would come over this afternoon. But I may work with. I got a few things I got to do this afternoon when I get back. But I may work with Udio a little bit. I think it is more comprehensive, or has more, is more robust. I think it's more robust in music generation. But I opened it up and was like, okay, I got to learn this. But the Suno system was pretty simple. Now it took a lot of generations. I gave it the lyrics and then was trying to come up with what type of sound I wanted, like a prompt based on what type of sound I wanted. And I don't know how many different songs it generated. It was a lot. I mean, it was probably about 20. I mean, there was probably about 20 generations to get that one right. So that would be, so I don't know, it was fun. It was fun. So then I put it together with the footage. So I thought that was fun. Let's see. Yeah, see, that one would be fun. Well, maybe one day somebody will perform it. That would be funny if someone performed it one day. If someone wants to sing it, let me know. If you're good. Good morning, Nathaniel. Good morning. Good to see you. So, all right. Yes, let's move on to our main topic here. I got the book here. I do have, I still hadn't exactly solved my streaming issue, but let's see. Oh. Maybe the auxiliary camera will be okay. So we got advanced HeroQuest right here. Let's see. So PH says, do you think Games Workshop tried to expand HeroQuest into the RPG sphere, thus forcing a response from TSR, which made Dragon Strike afterwards? I see. PH says, I believe it makes sense. RPGs used to be very much associated to board games and kind of still are for the mainstream. Now, I could be wrong about. Well, I'm not exactly sure what the motivation was. But I kind of just thought that the Dragon Strike was TSR's response to HeroQuest in general. I haven't noticed. Michael was talking about AD&D streams or videos. I haven't seen any. And no, I don't think I can separate all of that out. Now, I think you can, if you're wondering, like, do I just have like the what you're looking for? Like, I don't think on Suno you can split it out, but I think that's part of like what Udio can do. You can take, the music, you split out the words. You can like do, I guess, the equivalent of in painting with a song. I haven't figured it all out yet. Yeah, second edition, uptick in second edition games. Yeah, Inner Light says, yes, Second Strike, Dragon Strike was a reaction to HeroQuest. Not as good. Let me turn on the light here. All right, so let's see what we can learn from Advanced HeroQuest. What kind of notes we might want to take here. Let's see if I can get this window larger. All right, I'll send it to you. It was fun to do over here on this side. I'm going to keep playing with it. I might do a couple more. All right. Oh, Mike says he put PDF of the rules. Oh, I would rather look at his PDF and bring it up on the screen. Thank you, Mike. Oh, excellent. Excellent. I couldn't find that. All right, let's do this digitally. Thank you very much. And then that way I can have my notes down here. I can take notes on the game over here. Hey, Charlie. Did I just drop? Oh, no, there we go. Okay. Good morning, BGD. There we go. It does say, it says rules for heroic role play on here. Well, I did see where some people had been making new rules and advanced versions or expanded or enhanced versions or extended versions of Advanced HeroQuest. I did find those rule books, but I wanted to know about, I wanted to go straight back to the original. Other people may, we can take a look at expansions too, or I may flip through some of the fan-made material later, which is probably an improvement, I would guess. But I want to go back to the original for the purposes of this stream. Okay, so I wasn't sure what you were referring to. Michael says, whenever I see or hear about the cultists, I think of Tom Hanks' Neighborhood in the Burbs. Okay, so what can we extract? What can we learn from this and extract from this? This is first of all, okay, so this is a very crunchy game, like we were talking about. There's a lot to this. I was kind of interested in the connection between, or the line of thinking between Advanced HeroQuest, Warhammer Quest, and then Shadows of Brimstone, because they seem very similar. So I'm looking at, okay, what do we do if we were doing like an adventure game, box-based adventure game? It seems like, okay, so this one was born out of a role-playing game, but is arguably an expansion to HeroQuest. Because we were looking at, okay, what if we did a game or something that was a little bit beyond HeroQuest? We want to go a little bit beyond HeroQuest, but not into something like Gloomhaven level. Now, this also, when I say this goes beyond, it seems like there's so much stuff that's done outside of the game, like outside of actually playing on the board. I mean, Gloomhaven has a whole bunch of stuff going on for it, but it's all done right there, as or most of it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going on while you're actually moving your character around the dungeon. And then there's a few things, at least in the original Gloomhaven, that may have been expanded, that you do outside as you're outside of the dungeon as you're going to another dungeon. This one has a lot of things outside. So, okay, introduction, exploration turns. Actually, I'm thinking this is a good idea. I think all three of these games, I don't remember Shadows of Brimstone, but these two, HeroQuest and Advanced HeroQuest and Warhammer Quest, have this idea of the exploration turn in there. And I'm thinking that's a good thing to include, because one of our problems with HeroQuest, the original HeroQuest, is that, well, what do you do? What do you do when there are no monsters on the table? Are you still rolling around and trying to to move your character space by space, going around in a circle. You are. That does seem like the way that you are supposed to do it. And that's sort of one of those things that didn't get changed with the release of the new edition. So it's still there, although in the last box that we got, they kind of hacked a new solution to that. And what did they say? That you automatically roll an 8 or something like that? The League of Dungeoneers? Oh, is that an expansion to Advanced HeroQuest? So that's a HeroQuest expansion, Advanced HeroQuest expansion. Combat, Magic, the Game Master. So this does have a Game Master. I mean, this has, so the Game Master is included here. Hazards, treasure, reference sheets, traps. Between expeditions. I mean, this is a long book. But so between expeditions include things like fate points and wounds, treasure, cost of living, random events, spending gold, henchmen, and then embarking on the next trip. Campaigns, nuts and bolts, alternative monsters, quest ideas, creating heroes. That the miniature situation in this one wasn't as good, and I didn't find my miniatures. But the original HeroQuest came with a great variety, a lot of miniatures and a lot of variety of miniatures, and this just came with Skaven. Now you are supposed to like expand with all the rest of the Games Workshop line, but to me that wasn't as good. I wanted there to be more than just Skaven in this. Oh, it is League of... Okay, then maybe I should look at that. No, it's like HeroQuest and Warhammer Quest, one step beyond without becoming Gloomhaven. Let me look that up. League of Dungeoneers. An old school dungeon crawler with heavy RPG elements. Using miniatures or tokens, your heroes will move through a randomly created dungeon. Oh, I'm interested in what their random generation of the dungeon is. Because we're looking for a good system. We're looking for a good system. We were looking at random generations of dungeons. Oh, this does look pretty cool. For just RPGs. And I didn't think any of that was all that great. We never really came up with something that was really great. It seems like Warhammer Quest, the Advanced HeroQuest is going to have the random generation. But it seemed like, as I was reading through Warhammer Quest, that it did it best. I have not heard about League of Dungeoneers at all. Thank you. I will check that one out, because that one does seem like exactly the kind of thing that we are studying right now. And it also has a ton of figurines, cutout tokens, something like that. That was the main reason I purchased it, for the tokens. Huh, okay. Well, I want to look at that. Okay, so then, but this does have the section on HeroQuest in it. HeroQuest characters, room furnishing, because this didn't come with any furniture, magic items, HeroQuest revisited, using the HeroQuest board. That may actually be something fun to do, to actually just use the HeroQuest board and play Advanced HeroQuest. We've got a solo quest, a solo Advanced HeroQuest. So you can do this solo, and then you've got some quests in here, but not as many as HeroQuest comes with. So we'll see what their quests are like here. All right. Very dense rule book. We'll start with the actual rules here instead of with all the information that we probably already know. We looked at what was in the box a little while ago, or last time. I thought this was interesting, though. Spine. Like, what is this thing? I do have this thing right here. Ta-da! Advanced HeroQuest. I thought, was this just something to, like, lay on the board or something? But no, it's not. It says spine. The Advanced HeroQuest strip goes onto the spine of a Games Workshop folder. The best way to store this rule book is to remove the staples, cut the pages along the spine, fold and punch holes into the pages. When future supplements are published and when advanced HeroQuest articles appear in White Dwarf, you can add them to the appropriate section of your file. So you're supposed to put it in a 3-ring binder, and it gives you the spine for that. There were a couple of things that were done. That wasn't there like some AD&D monster guide or something that was supposed to be put. It was just pages to be put into 3-ring binders that you could organize and sort them. I've actually wondered if that needs to come back. Inner Light says there was that other older game that never got more traction that was like Warhammer Quest, but had very interesting darker theme and a ton of miniatures. Memento Mori or something like that? No, I don't know that one either. Okay, so this is before you start. The Game Master should read this booklet through at least once, and this is a heavy read. Basically what we're doing here. Okay, so I guess let's start with the heroes here, as we know what the general rules of a Game Master. Okay, so in Advanced HeroQuest, you'll keep the same heroes from game to game, developing their skills and building up their retinue of henchmen. You only need to start again if your hero is killed, and even then, there are arcane magics powerful enough to raise the dead. For the first game, however, each player will need to choose the hero he is going to play. Later, you'll learn to create heroes from scratch, but start with, it's a good idea to use the 4 heroes we've already created. You'll find the filled-in character sheets in the reference section. These are the warriors Heinrich Lewin, the dwarf Sven Hammerhelm, the elf Torlin Leafstar, and the wizard Magnus the Bright. Each player should roll a die, with the highest score having the first choice of hero. Okay. If there are only 3 heroes, 1 hero is left out. If there are 2 players, each one gets 1 hero plus 1 henchman. If there's only 1 hero, he gets a hero and 2 henchmen. So solo play 1 hero and 2 henchmen. Make out a character sheet for each henchman by copying the standard abilities of a man-at-arms onto a blank sheet. Henchmen are fully explained in the Before Expeditions section. I like the character sheet size. And we've added some stats here. So weapon skill, bow skill, strength, toughness, very Warhammer-like speed. We also have bravery. That could be like leadership. We also have intelligence, and we also have intelligence, though. You need something to be able to make some type of checks. But like I said, I'm thinking that most of the time this is going to be something where you are coming in and you're fighting monsters. We're going to have to come up with a really good wound system or damage system rather than hit points. I keep remembering that that hey, I liked the Warhammer fantasy role play system, but I can't remember exactly. I can't remember anything about it. I just remember that we did like it when we went through it. Filling out the character sheet. Okay. We know what weapon skill, bow skill, strength, and toughness are. So bravery measures his courage when faced with the unknown, and intelligence puts a value on his brains. Fate points are a reflection of the legendary qualities of luck, a place in destiny, and those indefinable qualities that mark the epic hero. By spending a fate point, you can change anything that just happened. You can even avoid being killed. I've heard that called like the undo button in this game. So wounds scores how healthy the hero is. When you suffer damage in combat or from traps, you will lose wounds. When your wound score falls to 0, you are knocked out. If it falls any lower than 0, that hero dies and must be removed from the game. There are 2 of these starting columns. The first is the starting level. This shows the hero as he begins the life of an adventurer without weapons, armor, or injury. The next column is the current level. Any changes to the starting level hero can be recorded here in pencil, since these scores can change numerous times. On the ready-made character sheets, you will see that some of the current level boxes already contain numbers. These are the characteristics that are different at the start of the game because of the hero's armor. For instance, you'll notice from Heinrich's character sheet that bow skill has fallen from 7 to 6, his toughness has improved from 6 to 8, and his speed has fallen from 8 to 6. This is due to his armor, which makes him slower and clumsier, but much harder to damage. Let's see. We saw the blank character sheet. Well, I don't know where the filled out character sheets are. Oh well, back to the top. So did we find out the name of it? So remember, you have to die. So there's the blank character sheets at the back. Yeah, we looked at that on Wednesday. Dark Light Memento Mori. Advanced Hero Quest plays very similar to Warhammer Quest, except it uses D12 for everything instead of D6s. Yeah, uncharacteristically, it uses the D12 for a Warhammer game, for a Games Workshop game. Okay, so here is some information on that. So the next section is headed hand-to-hand combat and is used when your hero is fighting a monster. To hit an opponent, you must roll a to-hit roll using a 12-sided die, like we were just talking about. The number you need to roll gets higher, the greater the weapon skill of your opponent. So this is like Warhammer, where you're comparing the weapon skill, your weapon skill, to the weapon skill of your opponent. The GM tells you the weapon skill, and you look for this number in the top row. The number underneath the hit roll, the number underneath is the hit roll. You've got to roll equal to or greater than this. If you succeed, you have hit your target. So we're going to have the to hit matrix. This is flipped sideways, but you've got your weapon skill right here. And so you've got there would be the whole matrix in this table, right? Or the to hit matrix in this book. But you're just concerned with one line of it as a hero, because you've got your weapon skill, and then what's the weapon skill of the target? That's going to tell you what you need to roll to hit. And then we also have ranged combat down here. We've got ranges, and I suppose this is ranges in squares, and then what you're going to need to roll to hit based on your bow skill. I like having things like that pre-computed. You can do more complex things like that as long as it's pre-computed. Matthew says, all that's left from my HeroQuest is the custom wooden dice. Interesting they switched to the D12. Well, yeah, HeroQuest has the custom dice, which is such an iconic part of HeroQuest. This one uses a D12, and then Warhammer Quest, that one goes back to all D6s. I wish I still had my Battle Masters. I still have some of the miniatures from it. We played a lot of Battle Masters too. But yeah, you're talking about an intro way. You're talking about an intro from a board game or a box game anyway into Warhammer. That really could have been Battle Masters a lot more. We're obviously trying to get people to start playing Warhammer from advanced HeroQuest, or at least buy more Citadel miniatures, because we're going to see in here we've got this giant bestiary of all of the Citadel miniatures. So they wanted you to, I guess, buy Hero, because you didn't buy more miniatures with HeroQuest. You know, that was all in the box. This seems like, oh, did you like HeroQuest? Here's a reason for you to go and buy a lot more Games Workshop miniatures. Okay, in ranged combat, ranged combat works better in the same way. Excuse me. Count the number of squares to your target and match it to the number in the top row. The number underneath tells you what you have to roll to hit your target. Under that, oh no. Under that, the hero's weapons are described. Each is listed separately with 4 additional pieces of information. Range indicates the maximum range of the weapon. For example, the short bow has a maximum range of 24 squares and can't be shot anything further away. There's no number for range. If there's no number for range, the weapon can't be used in ranged combat. Damage dice gives the number of dice you roll in order to measure the damage the hit causes. If you roll the number shown in the fumble space, something has gone wrong with your attack. If you roll the number in the critical space, you've done much better. Hit rolls, fumbles, criticals, and so forth are fully explained in the combat section. So I do think this is neat that we do have fumbles. We haven't really used critical failure in a long time in a game. But this one does have critical failures. So you can fumble your weapon. Did I really just get the hiccups here? If you roll the critical space, you've done better. So we do have both sides of this. A lot of time we're using critical damage, but we're not using fumbles. This one we do. The next is armor, with 3 pieces of information about each item. These measure what effect the armor has on bow skill, toughness, and speed. Each separate piece of armor should be listed and their effects totaled. The overall effect of each characteristic should be added, subtracted from its current level. As we have seen, this has already been done on Heinrich's character sheet for the armor he starts with. The last section is equipment, which lists the various additional items the hero carries. For example, gold crowns, rope, magical potions, and so forth. If the hero is a wizard, the space also lists his spell components, the special ingredients that are used up whenever he casts a spell. James says it was also a Battle Masters fan. I think it's very difficult to get now. The player controlling the wizard should also take the spell book. The game master doesn't elaborate on that. The hero players, while the heroes are filling in their character sheets, the GM should prepare his part of the game. He must place all the dungeon counters in a cup or mug. You're doing a lot of drawing counters in this. Sort out all the dungeon tile sections and place them in a convenient place near the playing surface. Place all the monsters' dwarves in the box ready for use. Once these preparations are complete, the game can begin. The GM should place a stairway section at the center of the table. Running from the stairs are 2 passages leading down to a T-junction. All dungeons start like this. Staircase, quarter section, T-junction. Each hero player now rolls a die. Whoever scores the highest, roll again to break a tie, becomes the leader. The leader rolls the dice as the dungeon is explored to see if a room has any doors, etc. He's allowed to decide what order the heroes move if they cannot decide for themselves. A new leader is chosen after each combat, so each hero player should get a chance to be the leader at some point during the expedition. Okay, so that's important. The leader rotates after combat when you're going back to like an exploration phase. Innerlight says, yeah, I'm glad Shadow Dark brought back fumbles. I definitely incorporated fumbles into Savage and Sorceries. Yeah, and then we've got the GM-less play here. Or at least got close enough for fan-made expansions to iterate on it and probably improve it. I didn't remember that we had fumbles in Shadow Dark, but that definitely sounds like something that would go with that style of play. I wonder what's going to happen here, because we like we talked about that quite a bit. Hey, people seem to like using dice when something nice is going to happen or something positive could happen to their character. Well, you might roll a critical hit, but can you kill yourself by accidentally rolling a critical failure? Or, I was also thinking about if you're talking about maybe you don't fumble if you roll poorly, but that could be something that your opponent takes an advantage of rather than, what tripped over the imaginary deceased turtle, as was in MERP, and broke your neck. Now, mapping is important in this. The other hero should then roll the dice again. The player rolling the highest becomes the expedition mapper. A complete record needs to be kept of the dungeon as it's discovered during each trip, and a map drawn on a mapping sheet provided at the end of this booklet. I mean, that's a pretty hardcore task right there. You'll find some guidance about this in the next few sections. Very old school, But also, that's one of the reasons why I was having trouble finding somebody to play this with. He's like, okay, wait a minute, I gotta like map. One of us has actually got to sit here and map this dungeon. The players then place their heroes on the stairwell. I think that's something that could be done away with when our advanced with a HeroQuest iteration or something. Advanced HeroQuest iteration. I mean, the tiles. I think you might actually pick up tiles in this game, but probably the tiles can stay on the table, I think. Okay, so turns. In Advanced HeroQuest, there are two types of turns: exploration turns and combat turns. This makes sense to me. Most turns are exploration turns. These are the periods when the heroes are exploring the dungeon, moving into new areas, opening doors, searching rooms and passages, and so on. Yes. So I do like the separation of turns into something like combat turns. Whereas basically, if there's a monster on the table, then you're doing a combat turn. Monster on the table or something hostile. And you're assuming that time is going very fast. So your turns are supposed to be maybe just a few seconds long or something. But then you also have this thing called exploration turns, which is when there's nothing hostile on the table. When there's nothing hostile on the table, and you're assumed to have a turn that's taking more time, like maybe something like 10 minutes. And then and then what you can do needs to be different depending on whether you're exploring something or you're in a combat turn. Something like opening a door, well, maybe you can do that in a combat. I don't know how Advanced HeroQuest is about to do this. It sounds like opening doors is something that is a combat, something is an exploration turn. But that you can, the different things you can do are different depending on whether you are in combat or you're in exploration. Searching seems to be a big one. Like, even if you're in another room, you know, in HeroQuest, you can't search a room that's got a monster in it, which makes sense to me. But if you're in the other room and your fellow party members are fighting some orcs, then for the entire board, that turn is now based in seconds. And so you're not going to be able to go and search a room. Like, there's not enough time. Yeah, so I think the issue was they didn't include any furniture models. So if the GM explained what was in a room, the only record they had of it was from player-drawn maps. This is before they introduced dry erase and wet erase boards. You could do dry and wet erase boards, yes. And sticker packs. Has anybody done that? Probably have. I mean, I know that people have made the removable sticker packs for furniture, but you could probably do that here if you didn't want to have to deal with the actual stand-up 3D furniture. Seems like you should be able to go both ways. But like, if you're going to search a room, I also think there should be something about time spent searching. Actually, that came up with another game. Who are we just looking at? An RPG that did have something about time. The amount of time you're going to spend searching being how thoroughly you can search. What was that? Was that oh, maybe that was Knave. I was trying to think, what did we look at that had just come in? So I think the Knave second edition stuff had come in. And so that might have had something to do with time and searching. Might have. But okay, we want time to be an important part of this game. So I mean, how do you make time an important part? Well, first of all, if you're dividing time between combat and exploration, certain actions, which could include things like spells or applying bandages to heroes, some spells might be fast to cast if they're like combat oriented spells. So some spells, searching, bandaging a hero, or first aid. some types of interaction. So I think there needs, like, one of our actions should be something like interaction or interact, but short interact and long interact. Some things might require a long interaction, which could only be able to be done in an exploration turn when there is no threat. Combat turns, you can't do like long interaction things. That also cuts down the number, the when you're in combat, how many things do you have to think about? Mike says time would only be important if that permits something interesting to occur because of time going by. Yes, so that's, I think we've got to, so sometimes one way to do that is to have a countdown timer. That you've got a certain amount of time before something happens in a quest, right? Or, but I think the wandering monsters or events, that there needs to be incentive to go quickly. Because you can't just, okay, we're going to sit here and I'll use some exploration turns to rest. Okay, I think that should be okay. But then you've got to, your threat situation is going up the more exploration turns you use. So there's also, there needs to be incentive to move fast. Okay, we're going to go down, we're raiding this dungeon. I'm thinking of it kind of like a special forces raid, like, okay, the heroes break down the dungeon door and then they're going in trying to get something out. And they, want to maybe get the drop on these monsters and get something done and get it out. But you can hang out and, heal yourself, take longer actions, cast longer spells, whatever. But that your threat level is increasing. And there's some kind of mechanic that says, okay, we need some type of wandering monster or dungeon event. Yes, I think so. Speaking of time, I was watching a live play of Shadow Dark using the Torch's 15-minute real-time. Lantern is 30 minutes real-time rules. It was very interesting. Their light sources went out in the middle of combat. Yeah, that does use real-time torches. So we do have this idea. So, do we want light to be an issue? I noticed that Warhammer Quest does. We're going to have to look at how they do light here. But yeah, canonically, the torches in Shadow Dark last 1 hour of real time. Which is interesting. I don't know if we have a real-time timer here. I'm thinking the timers might be going with the exploration turns. But let's see. Okay, so in Advanced HeroQuest, there are two types of turns: exploration turns and combat turns. Most turns are exploration turns. These are the periods when the heroes are exploring the dungeon, moving to new areas, opening doors, searching rooms and passages, and so on. You only start a combat turn if a previous exploration turn revealed monsters. Then you keep playing combat turns until you've defeated them or they have defeated you. Makes sense. Or if you've got this might not have the random monster mechanic or something, but if as soon as a threat shows up, then you're in combat turns. So exploration turns. During the hero player phase, heroes and henchmen move around the dungeon to explore. Heroes may also open doors, search for treasure, and so forth. Henchmen only move during this phase. They are armed guards, not adventurers, whose purpose is to help fight the monsters the heroes discover. The heroes and henchmen move one at a time. The players take in turns to move their models, with each player moving all his models before the next player moves any of his. Once a player moves his hand, the move cannot be altered like chess. Oh, that's also kind of old school. Once a player removes his hand, the move cannot be altered like chess. Only the player who controls the hero may move him. If the hero player cannot agree which one they're going to move, which one of them is going to move, the leader makes that decision for them. Only the player who controls the hero or henchman may move him. So I was also going to say, the use of combat turns here should also discourage optimal play, because there's only so much time to think. Now, actually come to think of it, turn timer. I'd like to experiment with that at least. I don't think this is right for something like a Hackmaster style initiative system. Although you could, okay, combat begins, Hackmaster style initiative system begins. I'm thinking about using cards for some type of initiative, but the turn timer. You could, especially in the online environment, say, all right, when your turn comes up, you've got a certain amount of time to finish your turn. And if you don't, the next card is flipped and it's the next player's turn to discourage optimal play during combat turns. First of all, I don't think you need to know exactly who's coming up next. How do you discourage optimal play, and why even do that anyway? Well, it can be easy in the original HeroQuest because there's no time limit to play in a very mathematically optimal way. And if you're charging in and trying to attack monsters and monsters are killing you, that might not be a good thing. So I want to put some pressure on the heroes to take action to do stuff that may not necessarily have been mathematically optimal during a combat turn. If you want to think, then that's what an exploration turn is for. Matthew says that's a simple way of timekeeping in games. You're talking about the real time, because it can get overcomplicated to design a timekeeping system that's consistent, or else it's just left up to theater of the mind. Oh, that's right. That's part of the tokens. You're drawing a bunch of tokens. You're drawing tokens for traps and wandering monsters. That's right. That's part of all these tokens you got to draw. The advanced HeroQuest GM tokens include things like traps and wandering monsters. It was adapted and highly adapted in Savages and Sorcery because I like the GM tokens mechanic. The sword and wizardry initiative system is interesting if you haven't looked at that yet. I have not. I don't know anything about that. But I also like the Shadows of the Dark Lord slow, fast action rules. Let me make note of that here on my notes here. Turn timer. Shadows of the Demon Lord. Shadows of the Demon Lord. So that's swords and wizardry. Initiative. Check out. And then Shadows of the Demon Lord. Slow, fast actions. Then you can also, well, it depends on the game world that you're sitting here and trying to set up here, because I was trying to also think about, well, variety of characters, but what type of characters are likely to come down here into a dungeon anyway and start hacking things apart? Well, they are kind of like the special forces of the world. So it doesn't make sense for a character in a game like this, a character that wouldn't have rules that specialize, or that aren't useful in that kind of environment and geared to it, to be present. The alchemist keeps coming up like that. So this has that. I guess what brought us in that discussion was that this is moving the hand. Once you remove your hand, you can't alter your character's move. I guess that's part of discouraging optimal play. You move in, oh, I should have moved over there. Okay, well, you can't. The following actions are available to a hero during a hero player phase. A hero or henchman may move up to 12 squares. Okay, so you're still measuring squares, but this is 12 squares exploration. He may move vertically or horizontally, but not diagonally. Any move that takes a hero into an unexplored part of the dungeon, for instance, around a corner or through a door, must stop before it reaches the unexplored part. In the case of a door, this means at the door. In all other cases, it means somewhere on the junction. The new dungeon sections will be generated during the exploration phase of the turn. If a hero ends his move next to a closed door, the player may choose to have him open it. The hero may stop before opening the door and cannot both open and move through a door during a single exploration phase. Okay, so you cannot both open and move through a door during a single exploration phase. If the door opens into an area of a previously unexplored dungeon, the new dungeon sections will be generated during the exploration phase of the game. If a hero ends his move next to a closed chest, the player may choose to have him open it. The contents of the chest are revealed by the game master and may be picked up by any of the heroes and their henchmen. If there are any disagreements over who gets what, each player rolls a die and the highest one gets their choice. The hero may spend this phase searching for secret doors. The player specifies which wall the hero is searching. The hero may be in the dungeon section of the chosen wall. The hero must be in the same dungeon section as the chosen wall. So you are searching specific walls in this. I thought that was interesting. We're not searching the room for secret doors, but actually searching specific walls. Oh, desperate people are the ones going down into the dungeon. Desperate people who have accepted violence as a solution. Inner Light says, in the Warhammer world, especially since desperation is part of everyday life. Or, if you're trying to rescue someone, if there's, okay, the classic, the princess has been taken down in the dungeon. I mean, who do you get to go down there and get her? Like the special forces of the day. Or of the world. But we're searching specifically certain walls here. So that needs to be tracked. It's not rooms, it's walls. The hero must be in the same dungeon section as the wall chosen, and the wall should not have been previously searched. Only one search. The player rolls a die. That does say a dice. That says the player rolls a dice and consults the secret door table. See below. The hero searching for secret doors cannot move as well. If in a room that hasn't already been searched, a hero may search for hidden treasure. The player rolls 2 dice and consults the hidden treasure table. See opposite. A hero searching for hidden treasure cannot move as well. A hero may spend the phase removing or putting on armor. I think this is what my brother called out and was like, all right, let's play something else. If the armor is removed, the expedition mapper should record that the room or passage now contains the discarded armor. Cross this out if anyone puts the armor back on again. A hero donning or removing armor cannot move as well. So I'm taking my armor off. Okay, write that down. Write that down. I'm taking my armor off. All right. So, as an example right here, we've got Heinrich, Toralian, Magnus, and Sven. From where he is at the head of the party, Heinrich can push up to the full 12 squares at maximum, although he will have to stop at the junction before he turns left since there's unexplored dungeon beyond. Because he is still within the room, Magnus has more choice. The room has only one door, the one the heroes entered by, so he could search for secret doors, selecting one of the remaining 3 walls. Alternatively, he could search the room for hidden treasure. All right, secret doors. Heroes may only search for secret doors in dead ends or rooms which have no doors except for the one they entered by. A hero may search one wall in a room or dead end per exploration turn, provided he starts the exploration turn in that room or corridor section. Searches may only be made for secret doors on the side of walls with dead ends. Searches may only be made for secret doors on the side of walls of dead ends, i.e. the 5 square long wall. The player must state which of the walls the hero is searching before he rolls on the secret doors table. Each wall may only be searched once. If the search is unsuccessful, there is nothing to be found there. The expedition mapper records any secret doors that are found there and any walls which have been unsuccessfully searched. So the secret door table, if secret doors table 1, the GM may draw a dungeon counter. Okay, so I guess that's what's keeping the players on their toes. So if you roll a 1, the GM draws a dungeon counter, so that could be a trap or a wandering monster, I guess we'll get to that. 2 to 6, there is no secret door on the wall section. 7 to 12, the heroes find a secret door and may place it wherever he likes in the section of the wall he was searching. So it would take 2 turns to take one set of armor and put it on. It sounded like it. Okay, so Inner Light's confirming that. So armor is we take it off and then record where you dropped that. I didn't see an inventory system in here. So we didn't really have an inventory system. We've got writing down what kind of weapon and armor we've got. And then some place for some extra equipment, but I haven't seen anything about weights and encumbrance or anything like that. Heroes may search for hidden treasure in any room. Each room may only be searched once. If the search is unsuccessful, there is no treasure to be found. The expedition mapper should record the rooms which have been searched for hidden treasure successfully or not. If the hero searches for hidden treasure, roll 2 dice and consult the hidden treasure table. On a 2 to 6, the GM may draw 1 dungeon counter. 7 to 16, there is no hidden treasure in the room. 17 to 23, the hero finds a cache of hidden treasure. Roll a die and multiply the score by 5 to find the value of the treasure in gold crowns. 24, the hero finds a hidden magical treasure. Roll 2. Lots of rolling from table to table here. Also with this crunch. The crunch here, tables to send you to other tables that might send you to other tables. So 24, the hero finds a hidden magical treasure. Roll 2 dice and consult the magical treasure table in the treasure section. Innerlight says, I was never really certain which Warhammer world Advanced HeroQuest takes place in. I don't think it's 3rd edition world, except it does introduce some concepts from 3rd edition and later. Oh, I don't know. I have not been keeping track of the way that the world has changed before editions. I suppose that depends if femurs are. I don't know. I guess we will check out. Yeah, this was the time of yes. This is when people were making games with tables, when we were all okay with that. This was back when we were all okay with that. We'll see if femurs are in the bestiary. So searching for hidden treasure and secret doors does have a negative side. To reflect the time wasted, the secret door table and the hidden treasure table have entries which read the GM may draw 1 dungeon counter. If this is one of your first few games and you are still trying to keep the powers of the GM secret, you may not wish to reveal exactly what this means to hero players. For use with dungeon counters, the use of dungeon counters is explained in the Game Master section. Okay. For the hero, suffice it to say, the time you spend in searches for this type allows the GM to regroup his defenses, making life more difficult for you later on. Okay, traps are introduced into the game by the use of dungeon counters. We were also wondering, okay, so how do you do traps in a game like this where you are randomly generating something, and potentially if you don't have a game master too? Like, how do game masterless games deal with a trap? Because unlike in HeroQuest, where, okay, the trap is right here on this particular square, you would know, but you don't know that here. So traps, how are they handling traps here? You do have a game master here. Oh, Mike confirms the femur's in the bestiary, page 38. So we do have femur in here. It was also when weird dice were still novel. So traps are introduced in the game by the use of dungeon counters. The GM can play one of these either during the normal course of exploration when a hero moves onto a square that has not been entered before, or when a hero opens a chest for the first time. The GM plays the counter and then rolls on the traps table to see what type of trap it is. So I noticed it didn't say search for traps. We didn't have search for traps listed during the exploration phase. Okay, so spotting and disarming traps. So here's our information here. The chance that a trap is spotted and the chance of disarming it are shown on the traps table. The hero that triggered the trap must roll to see if he spots it. To do this, the player rolls a die and compares the result on the spot trap chance for the trap. If the die roll is equal to or higher than the spot trap chance, the hero sees the trap before it can take effect. If not, the trap goes off. Trap effects are detailed in the trap section. If a trap is spotted, any of the heroes can try to disarm it, not just the hero who spotted it. If the hero is not in If the hero is not in a square adjacent to the trap, he must move up to the trap before trying to disarm it. The hero should roll a die and compare the score to the relevant disarm trap chance. If the so disarm trap. The hero, if the die score is equal to or higher than the disarm chance, the trap is disarmed and can be ignored. If the trap is lower, the trap goes off. In any case, if the hero rolls a 12, he may add +1 to all disarm trap rolls in the future. He should make a note of this on his character sheet. On the other hand, if he rolls a 1, he loses 1 extra wound above and beyond the stated effects of the trap. So that's like a critical failure and critical success, something you have to note down on either trap noticing or trap disarmament. Inner Light tells us the D10 wasn't even invented until 1980. So a lot of games didn't really include it until after 1985 or 87. So it says, if you prefer, traps that have been spotted may simply be left alone. If the trap was a chest, the chest cannot be opened. If the trap was in a square, the square or any adjacent squares may not be moved through. If the trap was in a square, that square and any adjacent squares, okay, that's important too, may not be moved through. If a hero, or I guess because you're trying to stay well outside of it, if any hero are already in this area of effect, they must be moved back until they are no longer within the area. So we know all the dungeons start the same way. We'll go for a little bit longer here. I said I'm going to go over to my brother's house to play Vaxanadu with him for a little while. And also I'm going to take HeroQuest to go and see if the boys want to play. I don't know if we'll have time. Playing HeroQuest and Vaxanadu is quite a bit. We will see, though. But that just seems like a fun thing to do. Take some beer over to his house. We're going to play some. And then I'm going to come back here this afternoon and do some work. We'll go here for about 20 more minutes. Okay. Okay, there are many possible dungeon layouts. You can have a dungeon that's only one level with no stairs going down. You can have a dungeon that has many levels descending deep into the earth with the heroes' opponents becoming even more powerful the deeper they go. You can decide to limit the size of the dungeon in advance, or you can let it go on for as long as it can. Different styles of dungeons are discussed in the campaign section with hints on how to choose what sort of dungeon you're going to create. We need a really good dungeon generation system. Okay, each dungeon, whatever the overall layout, is made up of rooms and passages. For most areas of the dungeon, these are randomly chosen using the dungeon generation tables. Oh, got more tables. Okay, so dungeon generation tables. I think Warhammer Quest moved to cards, which I would prefer. Rooms fall into 4 categories. Normal rooms, which are small empty chambers. Hazard rooms, which contain some type of special feature. Lairs, which are the homes of groups of monsters. And quest rooms, which are key locations in the dungeon. Quest rooms contain features that are vital to the hero's successful completion of their adventure. They might, for instance, be the arcane laboratories of mad alchemists. They could be the heavily guarded chambers of powerful warlords, or they might contain strange puzzles that have to be solved before the hero can descend into the next level and continue their quest. At certain points in the dungeon, there will also be areas known as quest locations. A quest location is a pre-generated section of dungeon which the GM has a map that details the monsters, traps, and treasure found therein. Oh, so we're mixing up random and non-random. Inner Light says, I thought femurs were out of Warhammer by 3rd edition, but apparently this was their moment in the sun. By 4th edition, they were gone for being problematic. What was their problem? So it would depend on the map of the world if there's one in the rules. Oh, well, we'll look for one. There might be. I never played Warhammer when there were femurs in it. The femur I know just from Warhammer. But what was the problem? Why did those get dropped? Why didn't... I don't need my other light, actually. There we go. Okay, quest locations contain quest treasures. So of course, so the game master might have some of this stuff, like some of these quest locations pre-built. The quest for the Shattered Amulet shows how individual quests can be linked together to form a larger quest or campaign. Okay, so generate the dungeon. The rooms and passages of the dungeon come to life as the heroes explore. They are randomly generated using the passage and rooms generation table, so the heroes won't know what they are going to find until they get there. You should only place a new dungeon section during an exploration phase if a hero is standing at a junction that leads to a passage that has not already been placed. The hero is opening a door that has not been opened before. The following rules should show how to place dungeon tiles. So passages can be found leading off of junctions and behind some doors. Junctions. If the heroes are exploring from a junction, they will find passages leading from each unexplored exit. Oh, so we're talking about passages. Okay, so passages can be found leading off junctions and behind some doors. Junctions. If the heroes are exploring from a junction, they will find passages leading from each unexplored exit. Okay, a dungeon door. If the hero opens a previously unopened door in a room, there's an even chance there will be a passage or a room beyond it. Roll a die. Even means it's a passage. Odd means that it's a room. So door from a room, 50-50 chance of room and passage. Passage doors, all doors from passages lead into rooms. See, this is also a lot to remember. I think a card system is going to end up being superior. Oh, and I didn't know that. So Innerlight says there are reproduction methods in the lore. Femurs could only reproduce by kidnapping females from other species. Oh, no, I didn't know that. They were part of the orcs, right? Or did they have their own army? Okay, so whenever the heroes explore a new passage, whether it starts with a junction or a door, the leader rolls on the following 3 tables. First, he rolls a die. Lots of die rolling. To have a game master as well. So the leader rolls on the following 3 tables. First, he rolls a die to determine the length of the passage. Then 2 dice see if there are any passage features, and then finally 2 dice to discover what lies at the end of the passage. So you record passage length, D12, 1 to 2, 3 to 8, and 9 to 12, either 1 section, 2 sections, or 3 sections. See placing new sections below for the rules about placement of passage sections. Passage feature table. So 2D12, you're rolling 2D12. 2 to 4, you've got wandering monsters. 5 to 15, nothing. 16 to 19, 1 door. 20 to 21, 2 doors. And then also 20 and 24 is wandering monsters. Hey, Gamers Quest. Oh, you came right in time to talk about femurs. So femurs had their own army and stuff? I just know the femurs from HeroQuest when, they're part of Zargon's forces and are sort of associated with the orcs and goblins. So doors. The leader chooses which section of the passage the door is to be placed. So the leader's doing a lot of this, and the game master is not. The GM then decides exactly where to put the door on the chosen wall. So it's a combination decision. The leader decides which section of the passage the door will be placed and on which side of the passage. The GM then decides exactly where to put the door on the chosen wall section. Wandering monsters. The GM rolls on the wandering monster table. Which I don't see right now. But then passage in the table. And that's a lot. It seems like a lot of rolling. So the femurs are obliged to raid and carry off the captives in order to perpetuate themselves. For there are no fertile femur females. All femur are the result of the union of femur and captive human women. Yeah, Mike says, from a game design standpoint, it would seem that you would want to simplify dungeon generation. Yeah, this is complex dungeon generation. I agree. Gamer's Quest says, that's my biggest issue with Advanced HeroQuest. So many tables to roll on. Because it didn't even have cards. Yeah, the game box didn't even come with cards. I mean, the game box seems like it's a bit light. And I hate rolling games. I hate rolling on tables. So, yeah, passage end table. Place the appropriate junction or corner place. So at the end of this, okay, it could be a okay, so it could be a T junction, it could be a dead end, it could be a right turn, it could be a T junction, a left turn, it could be stairs going down, it could be stairs going out, or it could be a T junction. And that is randomly determined. So junctions may be placed as the result of the roll in the passage ends table. Passage lead off from exits from a junction, and only when a hero is standing on the junction will he be able to see where it leads off. Corner sections count as junctions, so you can't see around a corner until you're standing on it. So as our example here, this example shows the general rules for exploration and playing the new dungeon sections. The heroes are on a T junction from which there are 2 unexplored exits. The leader checks the passage generation table since there must be passages leading off from unexplored exits of the junction. But we'll go through the procedure twice. The leader rolls the die for the right-hand branch, getting a 2, so the new passage is 1 section long. Rolling 2 dice for the passage feature, he scores a 16. There's a door on one of the side walls. Finally, getting a total of 6 on the passage end table, he finds there is a dead end. If the GM places this dungeon section, as indicated. The leader is allowed to say along which passage the door will be, and the GM selects its exact location along the wall. The expedition mapper adds the new section to his map, and the hero players note the dead end can be searched for secret doors. So that's down here, I guess. When checking for the other passages out of the junction, results of 1, 9, and 17 produce a passage 1 section long with no features ending in a left turn. This passage is laid out on the table as well, and the expedition mapper adds the new passage to the map. The exploration phase is over. I haven't seen stuff about picking up the tiles yet, so maybe that's wrong. But the expedition mapper is really keeping track of a whole bunch of stuff that's been searched or what is available to search. Doors can be discovered in the walls of passages and in rooms. The door models are used to show whether doors are left open or closed. If a door model is removed from the table for any reason, the door will be closed if encountered again. When a secret door is found, the hero who discovered it places wherever he likes on the wall that he was searching. So opening doors. When a hero opens a previously unopened door at the end of the player-hero phase, generate what lies beyond it using the following procedure. Room doors. If the heroes are opening the door from the side room, roll a die. On an even number, the door opens into a passage. Roll the passage generation tables. Sable says, RPG tables are best served as something to roll on before the system is set up. Rolling on tables during the session is just bogging things down. This is a lot of rolling to determine like whether or not there's a passage down there. But, right, Innerlight says, all these tables are also what lets the game be run without a game master. But couldn't you also do it with cards? Oh, Sable says, Baron Derop has a great video about how he used Knave to roll up a hex crawl that shows how to do it well. Yeah, the mapping does seem onerous. Like, no one at my table is going to want to do that. If you're trying to move from HeroQuest to something like this, no one's going to want to be the mapper. The game master would have to take care of that. I mean, like when I'm playing HeroQuest, I take notes of what, rooms have been searched and, things like that on the table so that on the quest book so that I remember that. I don't make the heroes do that. So Gamer's Quest says, fair point, and it's important to keep in mind, Advanced HeroQuest was developed with GM-less and solo play in mind first and foremost. Yeah, the role of the game master in this also seems very odd because it's having the leader do a whole lot. So yeah, the game players are the players are doing a lot of this themselves, but there is still a game master sitting there. And of course, there's that section for solo play later on. But moving to I do want to go fully cooperative. Right. And so that I think that Warhammer Quest's system is superior. It seemed like to me that Warhammer's system is going to be Warhammer Quest system is going to be superior and could probably be iterated on. People probably already have. So opening doors. When a hero opens a previously unopened door at the end of the hero phase, generate what lies beyond it using the following procedure. Room doors. If the heroes are opening the door from inside a room, roll a die. On an even number, it opens into a passage. Roll on the passage generation tables, or an odd number, it leads to another room. Roll on the room generation tables. Passage doors. Doors open from a passage section always lead to a room. Stairs lead either down to the next level of the dungeon or up and out of the dungeon. When a hero enters a stairway section that leads out of the dungeon, he can complete that expedition and be removed from the table. When all the surviving heroes have left the dungeon, that expedition is over. The stairway sections are also used to show stairs down to the next level, such as the beginning point for a new level. Just as the original setup beyond the entrance, the new level will begin with a stairway, and 2 lengths of passages leading down it. So rooms. Rooms will be discovered behind many of the doorways. They may contain monsters, traps, and treasure and have special features. I mean, this is a lot of rulebook also dedicated to setting out this dungeon. The room results is generated when a room result is generated during exploration. The leader rolls the dice and consults the room type table to find out what type of room it is. The table also tells the GM whether he should place a large or small room section. So D12 1 to 6 is a normal small room, or a hazardous small room, or a lair that's large, or a quest room that's large. Normal rooms are small, empty chambers long abandoned by their original occupants. Hazard rooms contain some type of special feature, such as a magic fountain, an ancient sarcophagus, or a gaping chasm. The GM should consult the hazard section to discover what feature is in the room. This does also make me wonder a bit more about the section on just playing in the HeroQuest, playing the original HeroQuest quests and playing in the HeroQuest or on the HeroQuest board. It doesn't sound like Advanced HeroQuest is too complicated when it comes to the character sheet. It seems like there's a lot about the random generation and the onerous nature of the mapping and stuff. But is the rest of it good enough that you say, hey, let's do the advanced version of one of the HeroQuest quests? That seems like what I might be most interested if the rest of the game is good here. Mike says it might be tough to keep track of the if this, then that, but if that, then do this kind of thinking in the rules. The game 4 Against Darkness is almost nothing but tables, and that's many beginners' first foray into solo RPG. Four Against Darkness? I have not heard of that one. Tables are inherent to an oracle, of course. If you're using that as a solo or GM-less RPG, that's a different matter. Okay, so room doors. Oh, so immediately after generating the room type and its contents, the leader should roll a die and consult the room doors table to find out if there are any other exits. If there are doors, the leader decides which wall they are on, and the GM decides where they are placed. Note that if the room contains a sentry, this type of monster is explained later, there will always be at least one door, even if none is rolled on the table. If the room contains a feature such as a statue or stairway, Doors should always be placed so the feature is not blocking the way to them. So roll a die for no door, 1 door, 2 doors. Here is our example dungeon map over here. Passages are always straight unless a corner junction is placed. Rooms must always share a wall with the passage or room from which they entered. Passages discovered beyond rooms run alongside the room. Oh, passages discovered, that's good. Run alongside the room, not away from it. I guess that helps keep things more contained on the table. At least one passage section must share a wall with the room, but any others may be placed to the left or right. Obviously, such a passage will have 2 ends, which must be generated. The GM should not place new sections so they overlap existing ones. If a room is too large, use the smaller size. If this doesn't fit, the door is clearly false and the one that doesn't lead anywhere. If there isn't space for the number of passages generated, use as many as you can fit. If a junction has an exit that leads straight into a wall, replace it with one that doesn't. If all possible exits are blocked, add extra lengths of passage until one isn't. So there's also some just ad hoc adjudication here. Gamer's Quest says, I play HeroQuest 2 times a month with a group. My partner and I play Warhammer Quest every month. I got advanced HeroQuest in 2007 off of eBay, read the rules, scavenged it for minis, put it on the shelf, and have never played it once because of all the tables. That's a lot of good gaming. Okay, actually, that's a good place to stop. Okay, so I guess we'll look at combat on what, Wednesday. I guess we'll look at Wednesday, 9:30. We'll look at combat. So let's look at our notes here. So what do we come up with as far as notes go? We have this division between combat turns and exploration turns, which I like and want to be and believe I want to adopt. We want to have combat turns discourage optimal play. If you want to do some thinking, you need to be in exploration turns, but we need time that some kind of threat level as you're spending exploration turns, and have some type of division between what kinds of things can be done on combat turns and what can be done on exploration turns based on the amount of time it would take. Like some spells, exploration turns, searching things, time spent searching, first aid, long and short interact actions. If it's just throw a lever or press a button, okay, that could be done in a combat turn. But if it's, I got to go interact with this sorcerer's table to do something, okay, that might be a long interaction. They could only be done during the exploration turn. We were trying to decide how light was going to be held. I don't remember. We haven't talked about light and lanterns yet here. I know that's used quite a bit in Warhammer Quest. That might be the one where you're picking up the tiles. There's something about picking up tiles. That might be that. Gamer's Craft probably knows. And then also look at some other games and possibly things to look at. But then basically here, okay, this is a way to generate a dungeon, but it is a time-consuming and onerous one. So we don't want to have a mapper. No dungeon mapper. No one's going to want to do that. No dungeon mapper, and that the advanced HeroQuest quest generation or table generation or dungeon generation is too much. I think those were our essential notes from what we just had here. Sable says Shadowdark's tables are not something that bogs down play because they're OSR style and are intended to be used ahead of time. If the GM is using the work properly, they've rolled their tables before the game session to inspire the points of interest, NPCs, encounters, etc. Right. I would like to be able to do a fully cooperative game. I would well, that's what, like an adventure game. So if you've got like an adventure game at the table, I think potentially a good way to do this is using like the Warhammer Quest model, which appears to have we did find out that this isn't exactly correct. So a reverse Warhammer Quest model, because we've got Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay that actually predated HeroQuest. I had no idea. But it seems like if you take a adventure game and then expand it into a RPG later. Indestructible is making Knave to be GMless? I hadn't seen that. I came into a couple of his work streams the other day, or the past couple of weeks. All right, so I guess those are our essential notes right here for what we came up with right here. So it can be done. We need. I really like the idea, the cards from Warhammer Quest. We'll look at those for dungeon generation, because I really kind of like the idea of dungeon as a deck. Build out the dungeon deck before play, and then see what happens as you play it out. How do you quickly make up a dungeon deck that's going to play? All right. Well, I am going to get out of here. I'm going to go do some gaming, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do some work to work on the more stuff that's got to be done for the Cultist Kickstarter. So, everyone, have a great day. Hopefully, you're going to go do some gaming as well. Have fun. Go forth. Be creative. Be constructive. See you later.